Hey guys, I hope you're doing well, my friends. Finally, 2021 is upon us, and many of us who do wedding photography are looking forward to the wedding season. At least those who are here in New England. We don't have many weddings that take place during wintertime for obvious reasons. Plus, here you add the pandemic on top of it, so here we are. So many of the wedding photographers during 2020 were either out of work or photographed weddings on very limited basis. So we all hope and pray that 2021 will present more opportunities to photograph weddings and events. Now, I've never done this type of video before, but I'm personally very curious myself what other wedding photographers use as part of their wedding gear kit, things that they find helpful and effective, and including things that may slow them down. So I wanted to give back to the wedding photographers community and share what's in my camera bag for 2021. Coming up next. So guys, let's start with the bag itself. So what I'm using is, honestly, I had this bag for probably over 10 years by now. And this is made by Case Logic. It wasn't anything expensive that I paid, maybe $60 or $70 I purchased. But what I like about this bag is that it has an access here from the top and, provides me enough flexibility and room for the gear to be placed. It kind of has a dividers inside. What I like about this one has inside of the zippers that I can put either my smaller items that need to fit in, some of my SD cards, maybe flashes, batteries. The nice thing about this one is that you can actually have it open only halfway like this, and it gives you enough room to be able to take out just the camera if this is what you're looking for. Now, this bag also has some of the kind of a side pockets, which is nice, very slim. Again, you can put in some of the cleaning items in here that maybe you're using for your camera gear. And in the back has this very large pocket that honestly, it'll be perfect for any laptop. You have a 13-inch computer or 15-inch size MacBook Pro or something like that, but again, it perfectly fits, and very frequently I put other things in here as well. It's very sturdy. I've taken this bag to many locations. It has this very solid, I would say very rugged base for the bag, and it's some kind of like a very hard plastic. I'm not sure what it's made of, almost like a rubber a little bit, but again, you can even place it on the wet grass and your camera gear will be completely dry. So that's one of the bags. Now let's get to the second bag. What I use is this nice roller bag. I don't even know who it's made by, Ricardo Elite. But what I use it specifically for my strobes. I put it inside. It's very large and has multiple openings here. And because it comes in with these little wheels, it's actually very easy to roll. Plus it comes in with the handle that allows me to, as you can see guys right here, handle allows me to just simply roll the bag. So, but again, it's not the most important part of my bags, just for the strobes itself. And then I use this little tiny kind of bag. It's almost like a leather bag, but it just, let's say if I go out to engagement photo shoot or just regular smaller photo shoots, that I use a small bag because it fits a camera and a couple of lenses. That's usually all I need. So that's it for the bags. Now up next is this, I guess, most important resident to my camera, and this is my faithful Nikon D500. Now I really love this camera. Now somebody may ask me, well, how come I'm not shooting with a full frame camera? Because D500 is actually a crop sensor camera. Many photographers use it for sports and wildlife. Now, there's a multiple answers to this one, but the short one is because of the price. I could have gone to the 850, which I've used before. But D500 kind of fell in place for me for many reasons. One of them was the price. I already own a bunch of Nikon lenses, actually full-frame lenses to that point. And you know, the nice thing about this one, the buffer here is literally unlimited. As you can see, it really can take as many pictures as you want to, doesn't slow you down. It is a 20 megapixel camera, but again, for wedding photography, it's absolutely perfect in many ways. Even if I use a shorter lenses, or let's say like a 35 or 50 millimeter lens, it's kind of times 1.5. It gives me a little bit more reach, and I really love it. So now that's the first camera. The second one is actually the one that's recording me right now, and that's the new addition to my family, and it's a Nikon Z6 II or Z6 II. Now I decided to switch to or add to my camera gear for weddings, specifically with a full frame, because I want to get that full frame look and to see how it's going to perform, especially knowing that so many camera manufacturers right now are going mirrorless, and I know that's going to be the future. And I use that Z6 Mark II, and it's perfect for video. Now, I mainly do photography. The video sometimes is helpful, and again, because right now it has a perfect autofocus. It's an auto, and I have no problems with keeping me in track as well. So now I got these two cameras, the D500 and Z6 Mark II, that's recording me right now. Up next, let's talk about lenses. Now I use various size lenses, primarily all primes. Let's start with this one first. This is 18 to 35 millimeter Sigma lens, 1.8. And when I say primes, because I think only Sigma is the only company that makes this continuous 1.8 when it comes to the type of lens, because I know other manufacturers have continuous 2.8, let's say from 24 millimeter to 70 millimeters, but that's the only one that has 1.8. It is a crop sensor lens, but I tell you, this lens is fantastic. It really performs very well, and I love it for wide angle shots. It's it works great. The second lens that I use is obviously Nifty 50, very popular in many photographers' bag. It's this lens is probably cost about a couple $100. Very, very versatile, and again, I think you should have it if you photograph portraits, if you photograph weddings. It's a must-have lens, not a big investment. Even if you don't use much, it's a great backup lens. And my third lens that I use here is the 85 millimeter lens. Now, on the crop sensor camera that I was sharing with you earlier, which is D500, this lens has about 127 millimeters when it comes to focal length, which is close to the full frame 135. But I gotta tell you, the quality of this lens is excellent. Now, you're wondering what this is? This is a F2Z adapter, which I use with my full frame Z6 II camera. And again, the reason I decided to keep most of these lenses right now, because I can actually adapt all of them and use my Z6 II with an FTZ adapter as a full frame if I want to get specific focal length for, let's say 50 millimeters or 85 millimeters. And actually right now I have a 50 millimeter S lens, which is the Z native lens specifically. I love that. That 50 millimeters is so sharp. It is definitely sharper than this Nifty 50, which costs about $200. So I certainly recommend, if you guys looking to switch to mirrorless, it is a way to go with the native lens. And I really, really like the way the quality renders. It is more expensive. That lens itself is probably about, I think I paid $600 for it, actually $500 with a discount because of the holidays. but it is sharper than this 50mm lens. So 18 to 35, 50mm, and 85mm lens. Great lenses. That's all my kit. I don't use anything larger. I don't have 70 to 200. If I need to use it, I rent it. But otherwise, what I learned in wedding photography is that you want to have workflow and changing lenses as quick as possible. And I don't want to carry all the gear that I need to. Plus, it's additional cost to it. So having the focal length is absolutely perfect. Now, somebody asked me, well, what if I were to have just one lens only? What would I use? I would say I can do probably most of my work with 50mm. It's, you guys might have heard the rule 80-20, kind of 80% of your result comes from the 20% of the effort. So the same way is here, 80% of my photos will come from 20% of my gear. So if I would use, maybe not this specifically, but I would go with my Z6 II in a 50mm 1.8S lens, and that probably would all I would use. Now guys, let's talk about lighting. What I use for lighting is this little faithful Speedlight SB700. You gotta use AA batteries, 4 AA batteries for this one. This is usually for, low light environment. I also use as my strobe to give more lighting to, let's say, a church location, this Alien B800. This is great because I use it with my cameras as an external triggers. So I highly recommend it, and it's not high of a cost. I think it costs maybe $200, $250 for a pop, for a head, and I have 2 of these. So, and in addition, I use this small LED RGB light. Basically, you can change different colors on it. It varies. It's great for for product photography and whatnot, or if you need additional lighting, it's great when it comes to battery life as well. Very handy. Up next are my triggers. So what I use for triggering my off-camera flash, which would be this one, is I use Pocket Wizard's Flex TT5. And the way it works, basically, you attach it to flash to the trigger, you lock it in place, and then you take your camera and you attach what is called a Pocket Wizard Mini TT1. It's a low profile. What I did in addition to this one, I purchased a Pocket Wizard AC3 little adapter that allows me to regulate how much output I have if I want to. But again, this triggers that, which triggers my flash, off-camera flash. Literally, it works almost flawlessly for my system up here. Very few times when I had that somehow it mistriggered or didn't trigger when I click my shutter speed. So that's what I use, Pocket Wizards. Now, sometimes it might be helpful to use a tripod if you're doing a formal portraits and you want to have everybody be in the same spot, you don't want to move anywhere. What I use is the Manfrotto 055XPROB. Now, this tripod, I've probably had it for about 8 years now. It works just as well when I purchased it, and it's very hefty, very heavy in place. So just keep in mind, if you don't mind a little bit of a weight, this tripod works well. Especially once you put it, in expensive gear with a lens on it, you want to make sure it's solid. So this is what I use for tripod. Up next is the memory card case. So what I use is very simple. It's a Pelican case. Comes in, I want to say, maybe with 12 different slots that you can put in. You can use micro SD cards, you can use SD cards as well. But now this is very handy because if now my SD card is full, what I usually do during the wedding, I would basically flip it backwards and put it that way, so I know that not to overwrite on that card. So that's very simple. Something else I want to mention is these are very simple cleaning cloth that I use, as well as a little brush for my lenses. You know, this is basically to remove any kind of dust that I may have on my lenses specifically, and then I can switch and actually use this little, I don't know, kind of like a pen basically to clean my lenses on the outside. So just a little bit more micro adjustments to when it comes to cleaning. Next on my list is obviously I use a camera charger specifically. I try to bring about three batteries for my camera, just make sure it doesn't die. But usually I don't have to charge it, but this is just in case if something happened to it, or you know, maybe if it's too cold. And when I take pictures, I have done wedding in the wintertime, and usually I've noticed is that you tend to lose a lot more charge on your battery for your camera when it's cold. So I carry this just in case. And now this one it's not an iPhone, but it's iPhone case. And what I use, by the way, just a little tip, if you don't throw this away if you have iPhones or any kind of other cell phone, this is perfect for your batteries, AA batteries. Small profile, you know, I just usually throw a bunch in here and close this nicely, and then you can keep it in your camera bag as well. Now guys, something else that I use on my for my weddings is I use this custom bracket basically. And the beauty of this little thing is that it allows you to take portraits in a horizontal or vertical position like this, specifically whenever you're using an on-camera or off-camera flash. And the way this usually works is that you would attach your trigger, and the way I do it, I attach my trigger to the top like this. It has a little screw to be able to tighten up, and then I would use my flash itself on top of it. Now, a couple of things. Probably the most important thing what it does is whenever you are in a low light situation and you're taking pictures, let's say in a dining hall or maybe in the church or maybe somewhere where you have a low ceilings, whenever your camera is a little bit lifted off from whenever your flash is lifted as above your camera and you take pictures, you don't have those red eyes, or your shadows are a lot more negligible basically behind people, as opposed to whenever you have your flash on top of your camera. And the nice thing about this one is that it doesn't matter if I want to take pictures in a vertical position like this or in a horizontal position, it doesn't change the output of my flash, and it doesn't change any kind of the depth of the shadows specifically, as well as doesn't provide this kind of like a red eye effect. I know you can remove those things in processing. And another option, or another a good thing about this one is that I don't have to carry my camera on the camera strap. I don't have to use anything else. And if my hands are tired, I can simply set it on the table or something, because it has these little legs. I can put them aside like this, okay, and just carry like that, take pictures, and flip back and forth. And if I want to set it on the table, I simply do that. So guys, I hope this was helpful to you to see what's in my camera bag. I would love to know what you guys use for your gear, whether it's Canon or maybe it's Sony, and maybe a little other gadgets. Please put it in the description below, because I think it might be helpful to other wedding photographers who would like to know what you use. And I will see you guys in the next video.